Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call the March 31, 2025 meeting of the Niskayuna Complete Streets Committee to order. And let's start with the roll call here. And Tess Healy?
Yeah.
Thank you. She is here. Carla Dougal here. William Chapman, I'm the chair of the committee. I'm here. Jim Levy is excused. He couldn't be here today. Catherine Kuzman, I don't know if Catherine's going to join us by remote or I haven't heard from her, but Brian Doherty is sitting right here with us today. Brian, thank you for coming down. Brendan Kennedy, not here yet. I don't know, is Brendan going to maybe join us or we're not sure. He may have a work conflict.
I haven't checked my emails today. I can follow up with him.
Okay. And Maddie Hanna, our student representative of Complete Streets, is joining us for, is this your third meeting or second? Second meeting. Okay. Well, welcome to the committee. And you're, well, bike club and other things at the high school. So welcome. And I will be adding Maddie's name, phone number, email to our roster. I wanted to make sure I had those correct. So thank you all for being here today. And I'd like to start with the privilege of the floor. And we have with us Bill Papineau, correct that time?
Yes, yes.
From, is it Vroman?
What's that?
Is it from Vroman Avenue or?
Well, I'm on Hickory Road.
On Hickory Road, okay.
Hickory Road, but that's not far away.
Okay. Anyway, Bill's on Hickory and he's has a letter to the Gazette that was in the March 28th, April 3rd, which is here with us that I handed out to the committee. And I also pointed out that another one of our members, Brendan Kennedy, had a letter in the Gazette this morning that I've shared with folks today. And he's promoting New Schenectady. So, well, William, why don't you go ahead? Whatever you'd like to share with us today.
Oh, okay. Well, I had sent a letter to the editor, and of course, this is a little larger copy of it. We can.
Catherine Kuzman just joined us. Have a seat.
I'm probably the oldest person here at age 90, but I've lived in my house for 57 years there on Hickory Road. So I've been to quite a bit. I think I've been to, not at the time of every accident within a quarter mile of my house, but I've been at the place of the accident after the event. And of course, each accident on Route 7 within range of my house is different, and the solution is different. I have found the most notable ones have been the ones that have crashed into the light pole across the street, and the one that went into the Ellis Hospital side. And these are people that just mistook the driveway of the house that sat next door. So I worked on getting them to put some signs up there that said that this is a driveway. It's not the entrance to the hospital. See,
so what one motorist?
And they did that. They did that. Yeah, it took a long time for them to get a sign made, but they did, and it's up there now. And so that is one. But there have been other accidents that are unrelated to the latest one. And of course, the latest one was the 59-year-old woman who, I believe was trying to cross the road in front of the driveway leading to the hospital. And I don't have the police report on that, but that's what I'm led to believe. Yeah. So, in any case, that was a tragedy because she was hit by a car, and the driver of the car was very cooperative and stayed with the whole thing. In the meantime, I noticed all of these cars being diverted for more than an hour, going down Hickory Road or coming up, and then going through Roman, to get out, and that lasted more than an hour. So it was pretty severe situation. So in any case, there are two roads that lead on to Route 7. One is Hickory and the other one is Broman. Now, Broman is the closest one to the entrance to the hospital. The entrance to Hickory is twice as long. And so when I say that I'd like to put a stop sign or stop light somewhere along there, to me, the logical place, of course, is right at the entrance to the hospital, right there. And across the road is the bail box owned by little old Massaroni. It's the guy that built my house. So to me, that's if we're going to consider a stop light right across from the entrance to the hospital, in my mind, is the place to put it. Yeah.
You want it to line up with one of the roads, though, either Hickory or Roman, whichever the state DOT.
Not as to that, because I think when the accident happened, there was slush on the sidewalks. Nobody wanted to walk up there. I think the older woman, the 59-year-old woman, decided to cross the road, and of course was hit by a car. The closest one, where there is a cross street, is at Froman. It's the closest one is Roman. Hickory is twice as far, and so I suggest a stop light right across from the entrance to the hospital. The other alternative would be Broman, which is a little bit of a walk, but not much
Could you
to
do,
get up there.
could you do the bus stops?
What?
I noticed there's bus stops on each side. And I
Well,
thought,
there is.
and I
is.
thought of
I
that.
talked about the idea in this, that there is a bus stop that is close by
Mhm.
if you're going east.
On the west side also,
Yeah, if you're going,
just past Hickory.
yeah, if you are going east and you're coming from Schenectady, then you could get off at that bus stop, which is very close to the entrance to the hospital.
The service
However,
entrance, yeah.
if you want to go back home, you gotta cross the street, and the bus stop is way down at Hickory, and with sloppy roads or sloppy sidewalks, that's not very good. So I suggested that the bus stop for those going towards Schenectady be relocated just beyond the stop light if and when it's ever installed. And that's a nice, safe
Crossing.
place to put bus stop. Now, I think this, the problem that the bus driver has is somebody crosses the road on the light, and there's a push button that says, okay, or there should be a push button that says, okay, I want to cross. So the person goes across the road and then gets onto the bus. And then if it's a young girl that had to go to the woman's hospital, and she probably would have her mother, and then the mother would say, bye, and then she would want to cross back. She may want to cross back, or she may not, who knows, depending on the age of the girl. And then there's the problem of the woman that gets across and has second thoughts and says, oh, I forgot something. So she pushes the button to cross back again. In the meantime, the bus driver sees what happens and he can go ahead, So that's what I say. Put the bus stop beyond the light on the west side of the stop light. Put the bus stop.
This would be the bus driver headed
on the
to
west side.
the city of
Somebody
Schenectady.
can take off because the woman changed her mind and she said, okay, I wanted to go back across, which she can do, see, and it won't hold up the bus. So that was my reason for putting the bus stop on the west side of the traffic light.
In your view, is the bus stop on the east side of there or the south side of the road on Route 7? Is it
The bus,
okay?
the only bus stop I worry about is the one that's on the north side of the road. And that's because it's way the heck down at Hickory Road, which is a long way, particularly if the streets are sloppy or wet or something like that. So to put the bus stop on the west side of the crossing is the way to go in my mind. Yeah.
So we need a push button crossing. Sorry.
That's something that we can review at the linkage study.
Okay.
But I think there may be other people that want to speak too.
Yes, you're right. So,
Yeah, right.
if the town is maybe going to try to apply for some grants or whatever that might apply just to the Bellevue, but even if they did apply for money, I mean, they'd have to get the linkage study is already underway, and we have several members here that have walked Troy Road on the 24th of March. We'll talk about that a little bit, but even if we get grant money, it'd be a while before that could be put in place. But I do think that we've discussed in committee that any work done at Bellevue, you want to be consistent with the safety features in the linkage study. And I did include the letter, the editorial from the Gazette. I mean, they obviously are anxious that something, and they're not the only ones. People are like, well, we don't want to burn time studying. We want to get something done. And then everybody, including the town, is concerned about serious injuries out there. So we want to get something done, but we also want to do the study so that whatever gets done will be done as close to what we think is. So.
I do like and want to compliment the Niskuna police department for putting this sign up on the near St. David's Lane. I think that's excellent. And if somebody goes beyond 40 miles an hour, it starts flashing. And that's very good. I saw one guy do that, He cut in front of me and he was going, faster than 40 miles an hour, and the thing flashes, and it is quite effective. So I hope they keep that there.
Yes, well.
Yeah, I hope they keep it there. Yeah.
Okay, is that it? Can I, we can talk some more after the meeting if you like, but I have a couple other guests that I want to recognize.
We've got a lot of other things to discuss, I know, and I think I've covered what I want to, and of course, I gave the letter out
Yep.
to you and others, so you know what I hope happens.
Yes, and you told us here today, so
Yeah,
that's good.
that's right, and I got it published. I was
Yes.
just-
Well, twice.
I
Got it in
published.
the week in review and the
Right
other one,
there.
so. that's really good. So Linda or Molly, either of you have anything you want to share with the committee today?
Actually, I'm gonna pipe up too. I was born and raised on Hickory Road. And at the end, near Rosendale, 1070.
Yeah.
And I hear you 100% and thought it is a cut through road. It has been for a long time for Rosendale and people coming out there, and hearing of late more fatalities in that area of Bellevue. Oh my, I'm trying to figure out the same thing, what's happened and changed a lot more. And I'm kind of equating it to some of the, I like bus stops, that area. And I have looked at the one out near Target, the pedestrian initiated stoplight. And I'm like, that's what we want over near Bellevue, because that seems to be tied to the bus stops there. And it stops people on Troy Road, which would be exactly what we want for the allowing of safety in that corridor. But, I know they're looking at the whole area, and it's, if you're heading towards the Northway, it's just right past, what's a good landmark? Wade Road, and right, yeah, just before. Yes, exactly. Just after Sonic, as you're going down the hill, there's a pedestrian initiated, and it's got the flashing lights, and it's got the stoplight, and
the crosswalk.
and the crosswalk. And it's cut out in the road. It's to me the way to go. If the state's paying for it, Laura, I don't know whether they would pay for this.
So that's one we can look at if we want
I
to see
think
anything.
that is a win. And you just need to decide where you want that on Troy Road near Bellevue. And I thought the south side bus stop, if I'm not mistaken, is closer to the service entrance of Bellevue Hospital, but I could be wrong. It might be up further. So when I drove by, kind of driving by, I'm like, okay, where are these and where are people coming from that could be in danger? So that's one of my little thoughts. I'm here though, also, that was one key thing with the fatalities and just what can be done as possible. But the other thing is, we live on Birchwood right now. And I know that there has been a proposal of putting in sidewalks. And I think that's something that, again, we're as a family against actually putting them in now. We realize that there's certain times of the day. I think I had been here a couple meetings ago, and I'm hoping that there might have been a more recent traffic study since 2020. Because the volume of traffic and the speed, again, safety of people on that street is a concern. And
It certainly has speed to put counters out and get
right.
volume and speed.
And I know that our neighbor, Mark Hoffman, came, I think a couple times ago and we do have these very old trees on our side where the suggestion of the sidewalk would be. And I mentioned to Laura, I think, outside the meeting there's some significant drainage issues on our road, unfortunately. And I think that it's just things to look at in the consideration of the walk. And right now, there aren't people walking to the school on Birchwood that we see at all in the morning and in the afternoons. So that is something that I'm kind of like, okay, it's for 12 houses. I'm kind of questioning that, as well as it is a road that goes right into Albany County. And just up the hill, there is a brand new development of 75 houses that are going in. They've cleared the land. And it's huge, the amount of land that they've cleared. So we are currently dealing with chip trucks, heavy equipment trucks, and we're talking really heavy equipment trucks. You know, they're ones that have the big earth eaters, you know, those things going up and down our street. So we really are, there's a lot of things going on in our area. And I personally, I would not be having a child walk up a sidewalk in our area. I think we're not a normal town road. We aren't. I think, if I'm not mistaken, help me here. Leisure Hill, I'm trying to think of another road that is town owned. It goes into Albany County that has the volume that we have. Leisure Hill, I think is a county road. Pierce Road is a county road. St. David, they a county road. So I think I'm of the idea years ago, Birchwood didn't go through all the way. Now it does. And it is a high volume road. And if we talk to Colony and find out what their plans are for any sidewalks and what their game plan is for all the houses there. Because I think some of the kids would be going to Birchwood.
So we should speak to Colony, right? You
Yeah.
think some of the children in this new housing development's going, maybe students at Birchwood Elementary?
I think on the northern side of that group, it's just over the border, and I think they have the option to go into either Muskegon schools, they pay Colony taxes, or they would go to Colony schools. So I'm just kind of.
So the school district line is not on the town of Colony or the town of Muskegon line.
No. It goes above that, yeah.
Okay.
It goes up
Okay.
to Walnut Lane East and Walnut Lane West, if I'm not mistaken. And also, I think there's a few houses in the newer development on the east side that may also have that option. So it's something to kind of coordinate everything.
Hi, my name's Molly. I live on Birchwood. Selfishly, I don't want to lose part of my front yard. Selfishly, I don't want to lose all the trees along Birchwood on our side of the street. There are less trees on the other side. Well, there's phone poles, but they can pave around them. It's just, it really would change things. Right now, like Linda said, most of the traffic all day long are huge vehicles, 18-wheelers. I know that's going to be going on for a couple of years, probably till they get that across from Forest Hills. I don't know what to call it. It was our beautiful woods. I call it ours, but it's actually in Colony. But they're just clearing that out, and sit in my living room and watch logging trucks and chip trucks and mulch. They're buying all the mulch and stuff. It's all big trucks right now. So, but the other issue is that really, I do wish you would include in whatever study you do, is if you're going to encourage people to walk on Birchwood, something has to be done in front of the school. People coming, I'm not going to say there's a majority either way, but what's really noticeable is when people come down the hill from Colony, they glide through that stop sign. If it's not, there's no school guard, crossing guard. Sometimes the trees grow, so you really can't see the stop sign. Sometimes the crosswalks get dulled and the paint kind of wears off. And people are in a hurry and they're not paying attention. That's everywhere. But they come through that. It's like they slow down and go. There's no stopping. All of us have probably seen that, you're supposed to, on red, you're supposed to stop first. I don't remember the last time I saw somebody do that except for my husband. You know, they just come down there and just, is anybody coming? Nope, I'm going. And
So they slow a bit, but they don't stop. Is that right?
No cop, why stop?
Yeah.
Well, that can be fixed. I mean, there are people in
well, they,
town that
they
would
put up
say,
the little,
Mr. Police Chief, we have a traffic problem out here and it needs
they
attention.
put up the little sign in the middle of the street that says school crossing or something like that, but people just don't, it's like it's in the way. And even one of the trucks ran over it, and it was run over last year by somebody. So people, please take into consideration that people are not just driving. They're not paying attention. And most of the times they don't come to a full stop for sure. But some people just kind of cruise down the hill, and then when they see that there's no kids in the crosswalk, they speed up. I'm 5 houses down from where the stop sign is. They're going 50 miles an hour past my house. So I don't know that that's this department. It may be the
Well,
traffic.
we're in the recommendation that just sort of
Yeah.
get a debate with, that
But
privilege of the floor.
If you're
but
gonna
certainly-
encourage people to walk on Birchwood, I think there should be a traffic light there. I really, crossing guard is only gonna be part-time.
And
What
who's gonna hire
happens-
the prosecutor?
yeah.
That's a concern too.
I mean, people
I
are,
think the school district did have one for some time.
yeah,
So that would be
years
something
ago, yeah.
We'd be asking the school district. Sure.
people coming up Birchwood. I can be coming down. I've come home from like the doctor or something, and because I have one of those State Farm things in my windshield that monitors my driving to reduce my rates. So I come to a complete stop. And I see people coming up Birchwood just going slow right through it. And so this is not just like once in a while or just when school's in session. It's all the time. So that's really, I really wish that they would take that into consideration. That and the volume of traffic, like Linda said, on our road has increased. I've lived there since 1998. It's just increased so much. So, like I said, I'm not for the sidewalk. Certainly not now. You know,
Well, certainly, we're
maybe
just advocates of the
yeah.
town board. The town board would have to make that
maybe
decision.
once that development gets fully made and there's a feel for really how much traffic there is going to be. But I think eventually something's got to be done in front of the school.
I will chime in also, as far as right now, in wanting to age in place in the area of the 12 houses. I'd say the median age is in the mid-60s and well above.
I'm the well
So-
above.
And
Well, neighborhoods change over. I mean, I know I've
Which
been
they
on my
do.
block and, when I first moved in, there weren't any little kids, and then there was a lot of little kids. And now most of them have gone to college or got married, so now it's oldsters like me. But, we won't be there forever, and pretty soon there'll be another batch of families with young kids, and,
and that's realistic.
it will
That's
change in Birchwood Lane like it has.
physical challenges, the maintenance of
Yeah.
the sidewalks. And I think I've mentioned that before to you guys, is that's something that is ongoing clearing and stuff. It would be difficult, very difficult, and that's not, it's challenging to affect aging.
I have one question. Does anybody know, is it legal to put one of those green foam slow down signs 2 feet out into the road so that cars going down the hill have to go around it? And now they're swerving into the other lane coming up. Somebody down there's got one of those signs and it's just,
Yes,
but
I
it's
did too.
in the road
Yeah.
and that's not really safe. I thought about calling the police. I think that sounds awful, doesn't it? It does. It just but I just don't know if that's a safe thing to have it out into the road. Anyhow, so I brought it up.
Any other speakers for privilege of the floor that are out in Zoom land or anyone here? I guess not. Well, thank you both for coming, and we're obviously going to pay attention to the things that you had to say there. Okay, why don't we get started with our agenda, and you're certainly welcome to stay and listen in as we go on. Minutes of February 24. I hope everyone's had a chance to look those over. Unless anybody has a comment on modifying those, I would like to.
I have a minor comment.
Okay, go ahead. What line?
Up in paragraph. It's not the kind where you actually get PS.
Yeah.
So it's quite this. that.
PEARSE, so
Yeah.
we'll get that.
So there were two spots.
So actually, I think I had one, line 89. These are drafts of the letters. Requested construction of an asphalt side path from River Road Park to Rosendale Elementary School. And we do want a side path on Rosendale, but I think this just right now is applying to our request that we make improvements to River Road Park so someone could bike through the trails there. And then we're just asking the school district if they would cooperate with an asphalt path from Rosendale Elementary to the park. And then also on line 116, this is a sidewalk going Cornelius Avenue from Ray Street, should say, to Hillside Elementary. It says Hillside Avenue, but that's up next to Providence Road, so that would be a pretty extensive sidewalk. So I just went from Ray Street to Hillside Elementary. Another one here.
Bill, I lost the volume when Brian was saying his correction. What was Brian's correction to the meeting?
Pierce Road to be spelled PEARSE as it appears in the minutes, and it appears as PIERCE a couple
Okay.
times.
I'll check it. The minutes are AI generated mostly, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But don't let AI drive your car, you know, at least not yet. So did you get line 89?
Yeah, I heard both yours. I just wanted to make sure I got Brian, so I got that now.
Okay. Any other comments on this?
The school district, you only had like 2 asks, right? Instead of 3, or is one of them?
Yeah,
considered a
I
ask?
think that's, the letters are being worked on, so
Like, what about the section in front of the school bus facility on Hillside Ave? Could you that like a sidewalk in front of there, segment of sidewalk?
okay.
That's actually on the.
Yeah, Hillside is town.
But that's actually the bus. It's in the school district.
Oh, so we've left off the bullet about finishing the side path on Hillside Avenue.
Well, you
from
didn't
Providence.
actually, that, I'm not sure that that's a priority.
Yeah.
But
The letters are independent, aren't they, Laura?
Yes,
This is
Yeah, this is just a summary of the discussion, some of the discussion points on the letters. The true letters are what we voted on.
Okay.
Okay. With those additions, I'd like to move acceptance of the minutes of February 24th. Look for a second. Second from Carl Dougal. All in favor, hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're unanimous on that. We've adopted the minutes. Okay. Let's move on to safety on Route 7, the linkage study. Draft Route 7 walkthrough summary.
I want to thank you for that time
Okay.
I had with you. and
Okay.
I appreciate your interest, and I know there's going to be some sort of a solution sometime.
Yeah. And there will be some public meetings, a chance for residents
Yeah.
to respond to survey and also to come to a meeting here to speak.
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. I enjoy understanding the process here.
Well, people worry at 80, that would worry me that you're getting old, but you've shown us that's not true. As a matter of fact, you're even showing us that 90 is kind of a nothing burger. So if we take care of ourselves,
Yeah.
we'll be good to go. So thank you for coming. Okay. Okay, a draft Route 7 walkthrough summary. Laura, should we ask you or Brian or Carla that took the walkthrough to kind of report on, I mean, it's an ambitious set of findings. At least I thought they were very solid.
Well, it's
So,
not really finding. So, part of the linkage study is to do an existing conditions walkthrough and then just get ideas of things that people are seeing and things that people are thinking might help. So they did, you know, we met at the Bellevue parking lot, at the Niskuna Reformed Church parking lot, and at the Old Niskuna Road, and walked a little bit up and down Route 7 there. And it's just a draft document, which is why it's not posted totally. And I know not everybody went, but it gives you a good idea of kind of what was discussed and what was seen. I don't think it's like news to anybody who sits on this committee regularly. But for the people who went on the walkthrough too, I wanted to see if they thought anything was missed or wanted to update or change anything as well.
One thing, under Bellevue Hospital section, I would put potentially due to the existing median and traffic light. For lower speeds in the vicinity of St. David's Lane, potentially due to the existing.
so lower speeds in the vicinity of St. is potentially due to the existing median. And you want to add something
And
yet?
traffic.
And traffic light. Is there a traffic light there? Or-
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, there is that.
Also, streetlight ownership. What does that mean under the Bellevue Hospital
I
notice?
think it's a state road and the state owns the lights. And so if we want to get improved lighting, it would be up to the state. It's not the county or the town that has to do that. It's the state DOT that would have to take steps to make the lighting better. So,
Yeah, sometimes National Grid owns the lights too.
okay.
It's hard to know. That probably came from a conversation between the police and one of the consultant staff, because
Okay.
they have been working on trying to figure out who owns the lights on Route 7.
And so they said sidewalks were usually directly adjacent, but there's actually a couple feet buffer, grass buffer.
Is your request for the committee members that took the walk to suggest corrections or other things to this set, or are folks here entitled to offer some thoughts about what the specific findings are themselves?
Yeah, so it'd have to be somebody who went on the walk, because this is just a summary of the walk, not the whole idea that we're still going to be creating. This is just this sort of like minutes. Like, it's a factual documentation of what was seen and what was said. And the reason that I attached it to the whole committee is just that they could get a sense of where we stopped, what we saw. But yeah, the 3 people I think in the room that were actually on there, if you have changes or corrections, just email them to me and I'll email them to the consultant, or you can email them to the consultant directly. You guys already have their contact information. But Bill, in your head, you can be continuing to comment and make sure that you have those comments ready to go. But if they weren't spoken at that walkthrough, then we can't put them on there. Because it's like minutes. You can't add to the minutes after the meeting is already over.
This is like waving a bone to the dog in the kitchen. You can't touch it. You can sniff it right here, but I'm putting it back on the shelf. So,
Come for the walk.
well, you see, I think it was such a great walk because you guys all went and made suggestions. I said to myself, it's good I didn't go because I might have shut my mouth off and pimped somebody out from a good thought. And so,
I had one comment, Laura, is they keep calling us the Complete Streets Board.
Yeah,
Streets Committee.
Committee.
yeah, you had that comment on their RFP too. Yeah,
Yes.
If you guys don't mind emailing them to me, that would be very helpful, though.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to be home, so I don't really have a great way of taking notes today.
So you don't want any new ideas either? Just-
No, I definitely think write the new ideas down, but we can't put them in the document because, like, it's just a reflection of what we said at that walkthrough.
So, I mean, just kind of throwing a couple observations out about what you learned here. Is that appropriate at this juncture, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys can send any observations you want. Like, we can keep sort of a rolling document of them. It's just we wouldn't put them in the minutes from the walking. This is like truly a minutes document.
Well, if I may, I guess there's a couple of things that, not necessarily a correction, but I do know Niskayuna Reformed Church zoning, there was some discussion about medium density residential to neighborhood commercial and residential professional. But even the next line says, how Niskayuna is greener and more open compared to the highly developed commercial corridor in Colony. In other words, this was a discussion in 98, 99, where the folks on Troy Road came out and said, we want this street to stay residential. And if you want traffic calming, you want street trees that calm the traffic. And there's a study finds disparities in the city's urban forest. But Jeff Corbin, who's a neighbor of ours on Via Del Mar, Union College professor, he's got a picture here of, it's not a tree-friendly street in the city, but he cites data that shows that trees, one, they lower crime and they promote slower traffic. And I also feel like, I mean, the road in some sense is a highway now, but we want it to return more to a local street in Niskayuna. And it is that way with largely houses. And if you do street trees and you do trees in the medians, you do traffic calming things, that you're trying to calm the traffic down. And I mean, I think residents out there did not want a Stewart's or a muffler shop or something at the corner of Pierce or Elisha Kill or any of these roads, because it's more commercial. If it looks commercial, that's going to encourage traffic to go even faster. And so, I mean, I don't know. I certainly wouldn't want the statements in there. It could stay there. Although if there was anyone in Niskayuna that put that statement, I would say a prayer to pull it out, because I just don't think you want to be going commercial on Troy Road. And I think the opinions of people that live on Troy Road are very much opposed to that, and that we want it to be seen as a town street. Get the speed limit reduced to 40 or 35 or whatever, and get some more pedestrian friendly amenities on it. And Carla, please go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh,
Bill, write your comments up. That's fine. I'll send them to Labella. Just write your comments up for me.
okay. Then one other thought I had was, I mean, there's discussion about moving, about the walkway next to the road, that the sidewalk that's adjacent to the road. And there's also some discussion about narrowing the traffic lanes. And then also discussion that the median is often, not used because there aren't even roads to turn left or right on for portions of it. And I guess I'm wondering if folks on the walk had any thoughts about, well, could we narrow the lanes and get a bike path that would be in the roadway, that maybe would have a metal fence, and then a bike path that would separate bicyclists from the road traffic? Or does it make sense to widen the sidewalk and make that a multi-use path so that both the bicyclists and pedestrians would be off the road? And I mean, there is comforting discussion about.
Can I just add a little clarity? Those were just observations. Nobody's proposing any treatments yet. This is the existing condition survey. Then we'll go out and then we'll say, can you shrink the lanes down? What are the sizes? Can you fit a bike lane on road? Can you fit a bike lane off road? Like,
Yes.
all of the ideas are on the table. Mr. Papino's ideas are on the table. But this is actually just an existing condition. So the observation is, the lanes are wide. The median isn't used that often. There are no trees. Those are the observations with some ideas of what's happening. You
So
know,
you're
what-
really asking Brian and Carla and Jim Levy and the member of the planning board,
Sarah Brooks.
Sarah Bolofsky, who went, and Detective Munger and the police chief. They're going to look at this list, and it's sort of like, oh, they got this wrong. I did say that, or I didn't say that, or adjustments, but it's not our turn.
That was the thing.
you'll have lots of turns, I promise. But you can send me your comments anyway, just to make sure that the bullet points make sense. But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Carla.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize. The separated and protected bike path was mentioned there at the Bellevue under the Bellevue section, but they omitted it from there. They didn't include that comment. So,
No, that's not justice, is it? If that was mentioned and it's been left out, as a matter of fact, if it was
So
mentioned.
this is the draft. This is the draft. So Carla's going to email me the comment that's missing, and we'll put it in.
And both said, hey, that was left out. It needs to be restored to the list. So,
Correct.
We'll have to keep that in mind.
yep.
And also, I mean, there are some other comments, but I know I'll send that to you. Yeah, and I was going to ask also just a quick question, just technically. The center median is like meant as a turn lane, and I looked that up, and I didn't realize you're not supposed to merge off of that. Okay. All right.
Oh, in other words, you're not supposed to get in the median and then try to jump into traffic, right?
Yeah.
It's, but doesn't everybody do it? Because it's the same as being a pedestrian. You can't get in unless you go to the middle median and then try to squeeze in.
Because you always have a lot of traffic.
You have to do
both
that.
ways, and that-
Otherwise, you wouldn't get it.
Right.
Very
thought
rarely
that's what
do
it was.
lives related to traffic without doing
You
it.
have to pull into that.
You
That's
get
too much
for
traffic.
turning.
It's a safe
To
thing.
merge into the.
People drive in it.
That's what
Well,
it's
you're
for.
right, it is. that
So
is-
should there be turning lanes and not this middle median? or-
That's what it's called, the turning.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's a turning.
Two-way
And has anybody been passed by somebody
Yes,
behind
I
them through that median
Yeah.
and turning?
Now, that's wrong.
Oh.
As an old adult, I have them from behind me that just zip around
Yeah.
and so on.
Right.
Right, anything you wanna, any changes you're gonna send Laura that you wanna mention here?
Really?
Okay.
The people I was talking to, I think they come and look for this stuff.
Well, if you're supportive of a bike path, either on the road or part of the sidewalks, you could add that so that it goes in and. The devil got a whole kingdom for his words, so.
The bike, they are separated.
Yeah.
And use on other arterial roads, they have examples in the.
There's too many ghost bikes around.
Oh, yeah, the electric bikes, yeah. Well, you're right.
People that have been killed on bikes.
Oh,
With
sure.
those-
Yeah, oh, yes,
Those
that's true,
bikes.
yeah.
So we also need to let Jim Levy know, since he walked it, if he has any corrections here, thoughts, he should add those in too, right? And- Okay. Well, anyway, to me, I was impressed by the number of things that the walkers came up with. I thought they were really good suggestions on all kinds of things. So it was eminently worth it, I thought. Anything else we want to discuss on this or? Okay. How about if we move to the draft survey to residents? I had a few thoughts on that and
Start from the beginning, the first paragraph.
Sure,
statement?
sure.
The only thing that, it says, eliminating fatal and serious injury crashes. One of the things that was mentioned at one of our previous meetings, that we shouldn't just highlight fatal and serious injury crashes. We should just say eliminating crashes. So, you know, there may be a crash where no injuries are involved, but still, it's a serious thing. It's a serious matter when we have crashes. So there may be just, you know, damage to property, but not person. So I don't know if we just want to focus on fatal and serious injury crashes, or do we want to focus on all crashes?
We could say
Just eliminate crashes.
fatal crashes, serious crashes, and even less serious.
I mean, crashes involving destruction. I was just gonna say eliminating crashes. But I suppose in parentheses, you could put serious injuries, fatalities, property damage. Maybe that's what we could do. So that was mentioned by the,
What, I mean, do we want to say eliminating fatal crashes, other serious injury crashes, and property damage crashes, or should we say all three? Or- I understand all crashes, but
right. I mean, it's just gonna say, put it in parentheses. I only said that because our chief of police mentioned that. We should not be focusing just on injuries,
Yep.
fatalities. Should focus on all crashes. And I thought that was a good point.
Yeah, I agree. Like also with that paragraph, it talks about improving pedestrian and bicycle access. And talks about fostering a more walkable and connected corridor along Route 7. Aren't you saying the same thing? And if you want to say walkable and bikeable and connected, but it's sort of, I mean, are they talking about creating more of an enhanced experience for the modes of transportation as something different, or are they just saying the same thing as the first item that they
I
mentioned?
think the first one is about access. The other one is about making it more walkable, which is
So the
safer.
experience.
So yeah, so I think they're two separate things.
Okay. Well, if you want to, then if that's.
But you can incorporate that.
should you want to say fostering more walkable, bikeable, and connected corridor along Route 7?
Yes, and also, I mean, so fostering, an enhanced experience for all modes of. What do you? I mean,
Enjoyable.
Well, I think if we get safe walkability, safe bikeability, it's probably the main goal.
Yeah.
We're gonna do street trees too, so.
I
Well,
just had
we-
one comment to Catherine's comment. Sometimes it is a trade-off between fatal and serious accidents, and minor though, like for example, like a roundabout will typically reduce serious and fatal car accidents to almost nothing, but it will increase fender benders and stuff like that. So sometimes it is actually a trade-off between fatal accidents and property damage accidents.
That's true.
Well, we'll understand that trade-off, but I guess if the chief of police and Carla are both recommending we have property damage accidents is something we want to try to reduce too, that we should leave it in for now as a goal. It's acceptable.
We want to eliminate all accidents.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to achieve.
But also complete streets as, it's, trying to make it so one accident doesn't cause such severe damage, and so that's like a number of layers of protection. And that is less damage if someone gets distracted driving because they're going slower. Pay attention more because of what's on the roads.
Okay. Okay. Project goal and objectives,
I see resiliency in there. I don't know what they mean. I mean, everybody says resiliency these days, but what does that mean? You know, when it comes to this road.
It's a boilerplate term that gets passed along from one report to the next over 20 years. But
The hurricanes and stuff, oh, we're gonna make this bridge resilient, we're gonna make the shoreline resilient.
Right.
But what, I'm not sure what it means here. And you're right, it is one of those words that just gets over someplace and gets carried along.
Where?
Where's it
I
written?
don't see it in the project goals and objectives. Where is it written?
The first sentence,
First sentence of the,
it's right on the top.
Yeah, enhance mobility, resiliency, and safety.
Oh, I thought we moved on to goals and objectives.
What about enhance mobility, connectivity instead of resiliency and safety?
I would agree with that.
Drop resiliency and put connectivity.
Yeah, I mean, we can, I just so, I think we can comment on this any way that we want. We are not the final tape putters outer of this survey. But yeah, I couldn't really tell you what resiliency necessarily means. I mean, a lot of times with traffic, resiliency means that it's allowing sort of for cars to find alternate routes. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that one here.
So also number 2, that will improve safety and comfort for all road users. Identify actionable measures that will improve safety and comfort for all road users. Wow.
I think that kind of goes back to the level of service, right? Where it's how comfortable you are as a driver with the traffic that's around you.
Okay.
But then they always talk, everything ties back to the level of service.
Do we want to stress, however, that we're more concerned about safety than the level of service at an intersection? I mean, we've sort of said traffic engineers in developments look at level of service. They want to keep that as high as, but really safety is something that balances that.
Well, they're using the word comfort though. They're not saying level of service, which is more of a technical term. Comfort, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of the pedestrian and bicyclist. You're not gonna cross the street unless you feel comfortable. Route 7, you just don't. You know, unfortunately, people have tried and failed. So, right, exactly. So I think that's what they mean by comfort there.
Will people know what, like on question 5, will they know what traffic operations capacity is? Is there a way to just,
Describe it better.
yeah. For everyone, that's what it.
I agree with you.
Maybe it should just be.
Sorry, just chiming in, right, Molly?
It's just capacity maybe, and rather than operations, just put capacity. I think most people would understand that, I'm saying. Yeah,
Or there are 2 terms to measure traffic. One of them's like predictability, and one of them's like, I don't remember what the other word is, but it's kind of like, if you know that every day there's going to be a traffic jam on your way to work, you plan for it and it's predictable. But if it's like just totally crazy, sometimes the road is running smoothly and it's totally fine, and then sometimes it's backed up and there's just no way around it. That's one measure of traffic. And then maybe the other one is like wait times or something, but we could go find those words and see if those words are better to put there, like traffic predictability. And I can't remember what the other one is.
I have a thought on question 5 in a second, but 3 and 4 are, do you support the draft project goal objectives for the Safe on 7 Complete Streets Plan? And I'm wondering if that needs to be more of a liquor question, a liquor type answer instead of just yes or no. I mean, if you had 5 response categories, that would be, I don't know, yes, definitely, mostly, no strong opinion or whatever. I mean, it's sort of like, it's like a light switch. It's either on or off. And I'm just wondering, is there?
Well, but it does have to then share your thoughts on them. So you could say yes, but I don't like this, or no, but I do like that. You know,
Give an example, just like the school district that's thinking about putting a student resource officer on the school board budget this year. But there may be some people that didn't like a certain thing, and but there may be some people that vote for against the whole school board bond just because they're voting on the school resource issue, and so it could sink the whole thing. I mean, could there be room for
do you
somebody?
think that that's covered by the open-ended question that comes next, or would you would like to see more than a yes or no? Because what I'm saying is you have yes, no, and then there's an immediate open-ended thing for where you can then say, but here's something I like, or here's something I don't like. Or you think that it needs to have more of a nuance to the yes no answer?
Some people may have no opinion whatsoever on that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess the open-ended, or, and I suggest some Likert scale when we get on to, but I'm happy since it gives you a short answer. It's, I mean, it's like somebody is 100, I support all these things, but a passing grade might be anything that's older than 70. So if somebody's a 71, but a 71 is not the same as a 95 on it. You want to give some space, but I'm okay leaving it as a short answer. When we get over to 5, what's most important to you? I mean, I guess I have like, what I'd have are some replies, and you have it down below that you like have a circle like vehicle safety and comfort. And so I'd have very important, moderate, somewhat important, no strong opinion, not very important, or not important at all, or something. So it would be, you circle the box, and the boxes might be very different from each one. That say vehicle safety, pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, maybe those are all very important. But corridor beautification, and somebody might put that down, no strong opinion on that, I don't have a strong opinion on street trees. Or gateway improvements might be, should we spend money on a sign when you come from Colony to Niskayuna? Maybe that's not that important to people. And so I guess I like the idea of having the Likert scale, because you get more of a feel for what the respondent is really saying to you. And I mean, I'm going to give you this set. I'll leave it with Trish so you can see it tomorrow, but
Who's processing all this survey data? Is it CRTC or the consultant? I think the consultant.
Yeah, the
but
consultant.
it makes it easy because
Yeah.
you've got the numbers, so you can give a grade to each question. Well, everybody's 100 on this one, but they're only 60 on this one over here. But that lets you see, which ones they have softer feelings on.
Yes, I mean, you could look at the survey too, like when I sent it to you.
I'm going to give this one.
Yeah, so for that question, were you supposed to just circle the most important thing to you, just one answer? Is that how it was written? The survey?
Yes, it says what's most important. I mean, you could have blanks out there, so check the 1 or 2 that are important, but somebody's going to say, well,
Okay, it should say pick top 3 or something like that. You want each rated.
no, it's easy to do it. You look through that and you rate it. Okay, this is 100 over here, but
Right.
gateway improvements, maybe that's
I
not
wish we
much.
should
And so,
probably just to see the top 3, at least 3 or 4 here. That
well, if you have it Likert, then, the ones that get the top score, the
Yeah.
5s would be your top 3. And so. Anyway, looks something like that. So I'll turn this in, but is there some additional sympathy to? And they use it in the questions below, like for instance, travel behavior. How frequently do you travel? I mean, they give categories, so the consultants get, can run percentages or can see where do people land on this.
That one's a little easier.
Yeah, easier. But we can put it in. You just pick some categories, and so no strong opinion, not very important, or not important at all. I mean,
Are they gonna have us circle answers? Is that the format for this? Is this the format that it's going in, or are they gonna?
I think it'll be online, but it's kind of like the comprehensive plan survey. Like we'll also have paper copies available for people to fill out. But yeah, this like you take it on SurveyMonkey or something.
But
see, one of the problems we had with our survey was, I mean, you had categories, so you could check the box, but then some of them were, if you want to provide a short answer, you do the short answer, but then you got to go back and code them, and you got to decide, well, what category does this short answer fall into? And so, I mean, I'd be for having people circle the boxes for each one of the things. And then if you want to give them another short answer, which would be, if you have a particular comment, you want to do a short answer, then you could do that too. So you capture that short answer, but the analyst doesn't have to decode the short answer to put it into a category. The respondents already put their reply into a codable category that the computer can do the work.
But you are able to check off more than one answer for that. Right?
Yes.
For the,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not clear
Two
right
seven.
now.
Okay, because
I don't think it's
that would be
clear.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in other words, I would do the survey. So if 5 is the top answer, maybe there are 3 or 4 that get 5s, and maybe there are 3 that get no strong opinion, or it's not important. But you as a respondent would be able to answer that way, and they would know the data right off. They would just have the computer run the answers. And then if you wanted to add a short answer, which you could say, is there anything in particular that you want to say about this, or a comment? Okay, 6, how frequently do you travel on Route 7? That's pretty easy. You have mutually exclusive categories, and that's pretty good. And then for 7, I really would just have, and they kind of do it, well, I'd have the same categories, like less than a month, once a month, you'd circle a box. So it's like travel to and from work. I mean, maybe that's every day for some people. And shopping, running errands, or visiting family or friends, or going to the parks. Could be they don't go to once a month to parks, or less than that. So I'd have a Likert scale response, and then,
Yeah, that was the one I was asking about before, 7. I didn't know we were still on the 5, but checking off more than one is.
yeah, see, to me, that's,
It also seems like a weird question to me. Like I can see work versus other activities, but like, what's the difference for going to a park versus visiting my family? Like, what does it matter to Labella?
Right.
Like this doesn't seem like a helpful question.
Maybe it's just like personal travel. Yeah,
Yeah, like either work or personal travel,
Right.
like.
that seems to be, that would capture it, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, I
I
mean,
agree with that.
it could
Yeah.
also be
That
how
was
you're
pretty
traveling. I mean,
funny.
if you walk to the parks, or you walk to your next door neighbors or something, as opposed to take a car, but,
Well, that's, they asked that
Separately.
beneath that, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why they want to get to that level of detail.
No, like.
well, you can always aggregate back.
I feel like we can tell them that we're not sure what they're getting at with that question.
Right.
It may just be like a question that they're sort of getting used to answer. But yeah, what do you drive? Like if everybody's using it for work. So what?
Probably during maybe usually, rush hour time or something versus all these other things could equally be happening at all different times.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, again, my suggestion is if we just move the categories that are like up there, that responses in question 6.
No, I should just get rid of that question, aside from like, how often do you travel? You know, like it's either work or personal, and that's it.
Well, no, well, would we want to know would we want to know the difference between people that are walking on Route 7 as opposed to driving on Route 7? I mean, if you walk to get the bus, or you walk to the parks, you walk to visit friends, you walk to school.
Oh,
Are
are
you
you back
jumping in
on,
on-
are you back on?
Well,
six?
we're kind of mixing the two, aren't we? I mean, why do you typically travel on Route 7?
No, they're asking the reason why you're traveling, period.
Yeah.
Not mode. They're asking what's the purpose of your travel? It's either work or it's personal.
Well, I mean, I'm saying if you have how often they do it, if you don't, it's a 0. I don't, less than once a month do I go to a park or to visit family or friends. But if I'm going to school or at work, and that's every day, then that gives them some information on it, doesn't it?
They're trying to figure out if it's work, it's everyday occurrence almost. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's personal, it's an optional.
Well, that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
if you've got the time element on there, I mean, how many times a month do you use it for this? Then you find out how important it is. I
Or
mean,
you're
if
going
it's,
to confuse people.
no, it simplifies it, I think. I mean, they just say, why do you typically travel on Route 7, travel to and from work? And then you got the categories every day, a few times a week, once a week. Boom, if I use it to go to work every day, boom, they check that. Shopping and running errands, about once a week, I check that. If visiting family or friends, that's a 0, or going to the parks is a 0, or whatever.
I'm with you, Bill, if you just do work and personal, but like not have it, like, I'm not telling them how often I visit my family and friends. It's just stupid.
Or medical appointments.
Okay, well, we can take the medical, but how about, I mean, there's work, we could take, I'd say work, school. I don't know, do we keep parks or community facilities? I mean, would we keep that one? Or-
No,
I'll ask them, you guys, but I am in agreement with Tessa and Catherine. Like, where would you go with that data? Like, it may be a relatively standard question on some surveys, but in this case, like, what treatment would change if you were mostly driving to work versus mostly driving to school versus mostly going to your medical? Like, why would that change anything that we were doing on Route 7? Like, what are we getting at with asking where you're going on Route 7? Like, our quarter is almost entirely residential. So I don't know. It just seems like we could ask them what they're getting at, and maybe they could rephrase the question. But like right now, just seems like extraneous information.
Yes.
Is it vehicular traffic that they're talking about specifically there?
no, it's.
No, it's
Because if it's everything, they may be trying to find out, like, how you cross 7, like.
No.
I mean, there's with the religious institutions on Route 7 and the hospital or whatever, are they trying to, I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's
Okay.
only one hospital on, like
Yeah, I know that it's
Route
fair.
7. So
But there's plenty of other medical facilities like outside Niskayuna that they could just be going to.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, it's true.
Anyway, we need to move on, Bill.
Yeah.
Okay. On question 7, at least they have safe, question 10, but then you see options, so you have answers underneath. So for each of the ones, driving, walking, you can indicate whether you think it's very unsafe. Then they have question 11 again. I'm turning in a liquor. That what safety concerns do you have about the Route 7? So I would just say for each one, you got very concerned, somewhat concerned, not concerned, so that you circle a box for each one of those categories. Okay, and then the rest are pretty straightforward.
Walking, how is that gonna correlate with the options? Are they giving you an option to write driving and then next to it writing very unsafe, somewhat unsafe or whatever?
That's what Bill's suggesting is that he's gonna
With
say.
that, okay.
Yes.
For everything,
Yeah.
sorry.
So they would get something.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, well, we got about 20 minutes here.
And then I just have one thing about question 14. Are there amenities or infrastructure elements that Route 7 does not have that you think it needs? I don't think a lot of people are going to be aware of all these amenities that are out there. So I was wondering if it would make sense to list some of the treatments that we would generally propose for something like Route 7 and then put other. Just so people have an understanding what we're talking about when we say infrastructure elements. Like more crosswalks.
We can list some specific things and then would they use those?
Right.
And then follow with a short answer question. So you get input on the specific things they'd like to see Route 7 have. And then answer with a short answer, something else we left out. Okay,
What about the demographic? What are they gonna do with those? I mean, is it there just because it's part of traditional surveys? I'm not sure what value there is in this.
My only value would be like maybe the age
Yeah.
and maybe the disability one if they're, I
Well,
don't know.
and the income may actually drive whether or not they're using transit. I don't know.
Okay.
But we should have transit numbers from CDTA, right?
Yeah, we have very low ridership on Route 7. We
Yeah.
actually think it's artificially low though, because people won't cross the street.
Yeah.
But I would provide that feedback, like aside from the age, I don't think they really need to put that on there.
well, there is some looking at ethnic status. I mean, some poorer communities, which may overlap with ethnic status sometimes, but
Well, I can ask them, but typically I think that would show things like communities that are already disadvantaged, minorities, lower income, are potentially experiencing worse outcomes on Route 7 because they're using transit or walking places that higher income families just won't do. You know, I think typically that demographic data would show, that there's a disadvantaged community that is potentially having a harder time with Route 7 than people who have higher income. But,
So you're talking about like pockets of environmental justice communities.
sometimes it may show, it may not, because everybody who takes the survey may be like, I make more than $60,000 a year and I drive my car everywhere. But there may be there is got to be a number of people who aren't in that category and that hopefully we could get to take the survey.
Yeah, because how do we reach them with that?
Yeah, that's true. Like I find that to be very hard. We tried to do that a little bit with the comprehensive plan survey. The Transportation Council has more experience in outreach than even the town though, and they do a lot of different events, so hopefully they can reach more people than we have reached before. But I can ask them. I mean, that would be typically why you'd have the demographics to see if there's an injustice there that's happening. But I know people don't like answering those questions all the time.
just go see what they find or find out why they're asking it,
Yeah,
or,
it would be nice to know why they're asking.
okay.
And environmental justice might not be a thing anymore.
I was thinking, in fact, that may, go against you
Yes.
because we're going to
There's
be
a-
looking for federal dollars, federal programs. So, that has to be totally out of the picture now.
Says this here, this is consistency of the patterns of unequal tree canopies across, and this is homeowners loan, they looked at the grades as evidence of a nationwide trend that certain neighborhoods, especially those with high proportions of people of color, are not receiving equivalent environmental benefits as wealthier, whiter neighborhoods. So,
Can't talk about that anymore.
we're just
Can't put it on paper.
Okay, okay, anything else? So we can turn in our comments to you, Laura, and leave them.
Yeah,
or
turn
send-
in the comments. Yeah, I definitely think maybe we should remove the one about why are you traveling, or at least really get clarification on what that question is supposed to mean, and then I'll get clarification on the graphics. And then
Yes.
some of the other comments we had were really good, I thought.
We only have a couple minutes, but we are still working on the comp plan. In other words, I'm working on the Excel spreadsheet on projects and,
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
so I brought that to the comprehensive plan committee, and they spent basically a whole meeting working on it. They really like a lot that's in there, but they do want to pare it down so that its size is similar to what the rest of the chapters are going to be. Right now, it's quite a few pages more than some of our other documents. So I'm gonna try and edit it down a little bit. Keep all of the real substance in there, but sorry, Bill.
and Carla and I sweat blood over every word.
I know. I won't lose anything. I'm just gonna try and make it less pages.
Okay, if you make it shorter, I'm fine with that.
Okay. um,
The other section's longer?
Right, there you go.
Hey, no, we asked Art, he gave us a green light on 40 pages. He said he can live with that. So,
so and then when I yeah,
So,
but they did really like it. So I will work a little bit on editing it down and then I'll reshare it with you guys. But I also really like it. It's good. Oh, and another question, a comment they had, which I've said a couple times, is that they do want to bring some of the recommendations for cars actually back into the whole whole chapter. And part of that, and Complete Streets, is equal treatment of all modes of transportation. And because bicycles and pedestrians and transit has been so disinvested that we focus so much on that. But when we did outreach to people and they said, what is your biggest concern for the town in the future moving forward? Traffic comes up as people's biggest concern. So this is not a you issue. I think you guys do a great job with Complete Streets, but the comprehensive plan committee has to somehow still incorporate traffic based on the public feedback that they get. So I'll put some of that into the chapter too.
okay. Okay, thank you. Sidewalk projects, we have Molly and,
Yeah, we still don't have the final, well, we still don't even have the
we had any up, or are we still kind of where we were at the last meeting?
They gave us a very initial kind of survey of the right of way. And then I had the engineer department look at it and give them some feedback. Some of the feedback we had is that we want to see if it can, like how close it would be to the trees, how realistic it would be that the trees would be able to survive. How much space can we leave between the sidewalk and the road so that there's less snow that comes over from the plows? Because that was a concern we heard. Looking more at the intersection with the school, because I know we've heard that a bunch of times before too, looking at possibly a rapid flashing beacon type crosswalk there with some treatments to make it much more obvious that it's an actual stop area. And
This is the sidewalk, goes from Oak Hill down to the Oak Tree. that
yeah, I had them, I'm having them relook at that
comes-
area.
And the space on the side of the road before you cross needs to be much kind of bigger. So there's a gathering place for students that would walk down from Oak Tree and would have a place to stand. And then we probably should ask the school to restore the school safety officer out there. And we really need to convey to the chief of police that, hey, cars are speeding and not stopping. I mean, they need to put an officer out there to write some tickets and have these folks that want to speed through come down and explain to Judge Scagnelli or Judge Swinton why you're not stopping at a school crosswalk or speeding through that. I don't think the police chief is happy with that. I don't think our town justice is happy with that. And
Yeah.
certainly the development over there and more traffic on the road since it's not a cul-de-sac anymore. And certainly the principal of the school doesn't want to see that either. So I think if we do some sidewalk things, and also I feel like, not only do you have kids, I mean, the road is not safe now with the speed of the cars and the volume of cars. And there are older adults that, walk up and down in the neighborhood too. And also I feel like you may be some parents that don't want to walk because there's no sidewalk. It's not safe. The cars speed and they don't stop. at the
Yeah.
crosswalk. So it's,
So the quick update on that is that the drawings aren't ready to share yet. We just got basically a rough kind of right away that I was sharing a lot of the concerns that we've heard with the engineer to come back with some more designs, but they are working away on it. And then Palmer, we're having a pre-construction meeting for that sidewalk next week, I think. So we'll probably see movement on that very early spring.
FYI, I'm sorry, as far as for Birchwood, the crossing guard is not paid by the school district at all. It's by the police.
Oh, it was volunteered before. by
No,
the school.
yeah, it's the police
Okay.
department.
Well, but we
that
can still
currently-
encourage that. I mean, if it requires it, then either the town or the school district is gonna have to find the money to do a crossing.
And there's also a long-standing drainage issue, Laura.
Mhm.
In-
Yeah, I did talk to them about that too.
No, right in front of that crossing, right where the stop sign is, as you're coming down the hill, there's a long-standing drainage issue right in front of that house that you were just talking about needing to make a better crossing path. It's been icy there historically for 15 years. So I don't think that's been fixed yet. So again, alerting you to that drainage problem.
Okay. Yeah, and we were also looking at the vegetation. There's a lot of vegetation between Oak Hill and the intersection. Doesn't look like huge trees. It's kind of like very dense vegetation. So we're looking at that too.
But they also, the roots absorb the water. It's a
Yeah. Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge.
And at the middle school, the school has agreed that the sidewalk going down from basically the entrance at Van Antwerp that goes down to meet the asphalt, they're gonna do that, right? The sidewalk on the school side, the school district.
On
is gonna-
Story, yeah. So that's not going to be done this spring by our contractors because essentially their laydown yard is where the lawn is right in front of Van Antwerp School. And so if we put in our sidewalk, they'd be driving over our brand new sidewalk with all their big trucks.
You know,
So they agreed to do that part of the sidewalk because they have to do some sidewalk improvements as part of their overall school upgrades anyway. So it's very minimal to them. And then we're looking at using that cost savings, possibly. We're just exploring this now. We don't know how much it'll cost or if it's feasible because we have to talk to the county about it. But rapid flashing crosswalk on Van Antwerp by Van Antwerp Middle School. Because we just don't know how long that crossing guard will be there forever. She probably won't. So we're looking at ways that could be that crosswalk could be upgraded.
oh, so this is a crosswalk that's not down at Dexter on Van Antwerp. It's
So the crosswalk is very weird. If you guys look at it on an aerial, I was showing it to the consultant and he was like, oh my gosh, because it's kind of like a crosswalk on an X, right? So it's Story.
Yeah.
It's sort of crossing on an X and Van Antwerp and Dexter's in the mix, but it's a little bit north. So they're going to look at it. I make no promises, but we got a little cost saving. So if we can do something that'll make the crossing there better, we will try.
just as a footnote, and I know there is now a push button crosswalk at Knott and Regent.
Yes,
Which
there
one?
is. I saw that on your agenda and I was going to tell you that.
It's there. We made a plea with Roy Fluman, the county manager, at this very table, and they said they would do it, and they did do it. So some of our efforts do result in infrastructure improvement. So that's one of them. When you go by on Knott Street, please take a look at Regent and you see the push button crosswalk there. We need to quit pretty soon, Laura, but can you do 1 minute on Niskuna Harbor and the Belltown Road townhomes, or should we save those for the next meeting, or anything that you?
Yeah, that was just the planning upgrade. The Niskuna Harbor project did get approved to allow the submittals. So we should see an upgraded design on that in the next month or two that we could be looking at for complete streets connections. So I think I said this before, but as you're driving past River's Ledge and you're getting farther south from Rivers Ledge, sort of going towards the city of Schenectady. Be thinking about what improvements you'd like to see for complete streets there. And then the development between CBS, WRGB, and CVS. We're looking at potentially breaking ground in late spring, maybe, and building that sidewalk along Van Antwerp, and then trying to get that crosswalk by Van Antwerp and Hilltop, I believe. So that's just an update there.
Will there be a walkway, I mean, for the road that comes over from Barcelona that goes through this, that gets you over to Van Antwerp? And is there any hope for talking to the TV station, and we can say this for later on, about walking behind WRGB Channel 6 to get from that street east over to?
Yeah, I did talk to them about that, and there's no interest in that currently.
Yeah.
They're still very security and safety conscious on that parcel. And so it's been difficult even to get a road to dead end on that parcel because of their safety responsibilities to their staff and the sensitive nature of their business.
Okay. Okay, well, we're 3:35. Does anybody else have an item they want to chip in the last minute of our meeting here? Okay, well, thank you all for studying the materials and coming down today. Thank you. And also for my cousin out on.
I agree.
Anyway, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for today. Moved by Tess. Do we have a second from another person? Catherine Guzman, all in favor of adjourning for today? Okay. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.